Do you think that the American audience needed that kind of music after September 11? Less heavy metal and the more
well, I don't think
human music.
Yeah, I don't think September the 11th has anything to do with it, but I think they definitely need more soulful music over there.
Before Russia go to the head, Coldplay were not so committed in politics. And during the hard times of Iraqi crisis, Chris Martin made a tough statement against Bush, receiving the Brits Award. Did you discuss inside the band about the attitude to keep in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult because, of course, in America you weren't allowed to say anything against the war. And when we did the Grammys, we were told that if anyone's, all the artists that were performing were told that if anyone says anything that's anti-war, they won't broadcast it. So it's quite tough, you know, because on one hand we wanted to voice, you know, our opinion and say that we were against the war, but on the other hand we didn't want to ruin, you know, the success that we've worked so hard to achieve. In America, by speaking out against it. So it was this kind of, we kind of decided that we won't, what we'll do is we'll wait till we get so big in America that nothing can touch us, you know. We'll wait till we get big, and then if we disagree with something, we'll be able to say it as much as we want, because we'll be so big, nobody can do anything bad to us, you know.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't fear any negative reaction by the American audience against Coldplay, because during the times the surveys showed great support for the American president.
Yeah.
Danger for your career in the United States.
Danger, yeah. I mean, it depends where you are. Like, if you're in New York, then probably most of the people would agree with you. But if you're playing in Texas or something like that, then you're probably going to get stabbed.
The song "Politic" is an appeal to politicians to serve the real needs of common people, honestly and sincerely. The album was released on September 2002.
Okay, I have to remember.
And a lot of things happen in the world since then. Have you seen any change in the politicians' goals?
Not really. They're all evil people that don't care about. Well, that's not true actually, but you know, politicians are people that are. These are people that have egos and they're power hungry. You know, they're not. A lot of politicians aren't in politics because they care about people. It's because they want to be regarded as someone who's in a powerful position, and that's where the trouble lies. You know, I haven't seen. I mean, you know, we've spent most of our time out of the UK, and we've been in different countries. You know. So it's very difficult for us to really follow any kind of you know, political headlines that are going on in any one country, you know, because we're never there for more than we're never in England for more than a few days at a time.
Which is Coldplay's opinion about Tony Blair, for example?
What's our
Tony Blair?
Well, I guess the biggest issue with Tony Blair recently was his alliance with America for the war, and I think that kind of really divided people's opinions in England about him. You know, I think that's. But he had a very, very tough decision to make, because if you think about it, Britain's defences are based around having an alliance with America. It's like we spend very, very little money on our defence programme, because we know we've got this you know, this machine which is America, which is basically part of our defence as well. And I think if it was tough for Tony Blair, because he didn't want to sever that relationship with America. If he didn't go with Bush, to the you know, to join the war and to send our troops in there, and that would have damaged our whole country's stability, really. And I know that's no reason for going to war, but I think that's the decision he had to make. And I think, and I don't know what to think about that, because on one hand, I don't, you know, the war was terrible, but on the other hand, his job is to maintain the interest of his country, you know. So it's a tough decision.
Guy, Ian McCulloch said recently to us that Eco and the Bunnymen are the main influence on Coldplay.
Did he really? When were you speaking to him?
And but critics compare Coldplay above all to U2 and Radiohead. What do you think about these clashes?
Well, none of those bands are what we were trying to be, you know.
Mm-hmm. Coldplay worked with, collaborate with Ian McCulloch.
No.
Ian McCulloch collaborated with you on Russia Blood.
No. This was another rumor. Really.
Your official bio. Your Coldplay official biography reports that.
We don't have an official biography.
On your website.
Ah, what does it say?
No, on your website. The EMI send me your biography. EMI.
Right.
The label. And the biographies said that Ian McCulloch came into the studio with you and gave you some advertise about the making of the songs.
We did our recording in Liverpool in a studio. It's where we did the first album, we did the second album. And Ian McCulloch lives around the corner from the studio. He lives, you know, so sometimes he comes in just to say hi. So he came
from the window.
he just came in and sat down, and we had a glass of wine together and a cigarette, and then he went, and that was it. You know. So, you know, we're very protective of our music, and nobody else has anything to do with it except the four of us and Ken, our producer. Nobody else will ever play an instrument on our album apart from the four of us.
Okay, Guy, have you listened to the new Radiohead album?
No.
No. What about them? This is the last question.
Well, Chris has been listening to it. Radiohead albums are difficult because you've got to give them, you know, you've got to give them 2 or 3 weeks to be listening to it all the time, and I'm just not prepared to do that at this point in time. I need to be relaxed and at home, you know, not on the road. But Chris has been listening to it a lot, and he's decided that it's very good. But I think they're a great band, and hats off to them.
Do you think they had an important role in opening the way to new British band to the United States?
Yeah, I think they definitely paved the way to a certain extent. And you know, I know Chris was very influenced by Radiohead in the early days. So we've got a lot to thank them for, really.
Did you plan a date for the next album? Do you have already?
Well, I think we'll start it in November or December, and it'll probably take a year to make. Maybe 8 to 12 months, I would imagine it'll take to make. And then, so you can expect a new album in maybe a year and a half from now.
Thank you, Guy.
My pleasure.